You were when I let you. Jungkook shakes his head, clearing the memory of the night before last from his mind, and tries not to think about the fact that he got money again for making his boss over and even more money for coming himself without even touching. Jungkook arrives at the coffee shop 20 minutes later than he should, and the first thing he does is meet an angry Yoongi, who's back from a 3-day sick leave and definitely not happy to stay longer than his shift lasts. But Jungkook really did his best to be in time. He simply delayed in college because of his history oral report, and then futilely tried to get into the subway through a crowd of people. "I'm here. I'm here," he yells as he whirls past the counter and disappears behind the back door. "I'm sorry," he yells again, leaving the door ajar. "I ran as soon as I could. I don't care," Yoongi snorts, pulling off his apron. "Next time, I'll just leave. I was in a hurry, I swear." Jungkook flutters out of the back room, straightening his sweatshirt, which has been pulled up by how quickly he stripped off his jacket. He thumps his head fully against the chair behind the counter, where Yoongi usually lounges when people aren't around, and winces, hissing softly in discomfort. Tae-hyung grabs and pulls the boy onto him. "I love it when you're taking your clothes off," he purrs, hot breath burning the boy's back, covered with perspiration from the dance. Tae-hyung strokes Jungkook's soft thighs. "And when you're sitting on me," he adds with a satisfied smirk, running the tip of his nose over Jungkook's thin shoulder, and then reaching for his ear. Jungkook can feel Tae-hyung's breath again, a million goosebumps running down his neck and spine. "And wait, I am not Mr. Kim," Jungkook mutters, knowing full well that this is how people talk about, and not about, whatever happens between them now. "I like to think so." The man chuckles harshly into his ear, then lets himself bite his earlobe. "Now do it again to get your money." He exhales deeply to regain his breath. "Stop chilling," Yoongi mutters as he throws an apron at Jungkook and steps around him, hitting the boy with his shoulder. "And take the order." The guy leaves for the staff room to get ready for home, and closes the door behind him. Jungkook stares after him wearily for a few seconds, still panting from running down the street, and shaking his head, then pulls on his apron as he steps behind the counter. Only now does he look up at the Seokjin, already putting on his usual slight smile. He still wants to get a tip and not get fired for being rude, right? In front of him is a man. The same one that has been coming here for the second week in a row. "Good afternoon. How are you?" Jungkook greets, forgetting to inhale for a moment, and then the man looks at him with a wide, snow-white smile. "Good afternoon." The man nods, laughing a little. "And no need to apologize for being late," he says jokingly, but with a hint, causing Jungkook's cheeks to blush in shame. "So?" The Seokjin looks at the sign above the counter, clearly in a good mood and in no hurry. Jungkook has a few seconds to look at him. Short, dark and slightly curly hairstyle back, light stubble that highlights his jaw, and a suit too good to drink coffee in a reasonably cheap coffee shop. But Jungkook won't ask, it's none of his business. "What can I get you?" he asks, finally tying his apron. He has to wrap the ties around his waist twice, so that his clumsy bow flaunts right in front. Jungkook learned not to feel embarrassed about it. "Yeah, ugh," the man sighs, looking down at him again. "Double Americano, cappuccino, and a dessert." Jungkook nods, quickly typing an order at the register screen, and bites his lip. "Specify, please." He looks at the man. "What kind of dessert would you like?" "Just choose something for me yourself." The customer winks, pulling his phone out of his pocket. Jungkook is a little lost, looking back at the dessert display. I'm sorry, sir. I'm not sure I know what you would like. He tries to smile, afraid to sound rude. Well, okay, he chuckles, leaning on the counter and leaning slightly towards Jungkook. What would you choose? A strawberry cheesecake? Maybe. The boy raises his eyebrows uncertainly, feeling even smaller under the heavy, confident gaze that is fixed on him. Then it's a strawberry cheesecake for me, okay. It's 1465 in total. Jungkook nods, gets a check and pointing to the payment terminal. The man quickly taps his phone to pay for the order, and Jungkook gets to making coffee. The client, still standing at the counter, speaks up again, and Jungkook turns to him. Yes, it's for takeaway today, okay? And I'm in a little hurry. Yes, sir. Jungkook smiles at him with the corner of his lips, turning back to the coffee machine. He makes the drinks quickly, yawning only a few times, and packs the dessert in a small cardboard box, then puts 2 cups on the coaster, covering them with lids. Here you go, sir, he mutters, drawing the attention of a man who is standing next to the counter, texting something on his phone. And then the man immediately looks at him, putting the device in his pocket. What? He looks at the 2 identical cups. I can sign them if you want, Jungkook offers, pulling a marker from a shelf under the counter. Yes, please. The man sends him another smile. It's an H for Americano and an T for Cappuccino. Okay. Jungkook quickly leaves the indicated initials on the glasses. It's a little sprawling and crooked, but it's not like he often writes things on very hot cups, okay? They don't do that in their coffee shop. Here it is. And what is your name, by the way? Pulling the stand with coffee towards him, the man asks with a smile and a slight squint, looking at the boy's face. It's Jungkook, sir. Jungkook, the man repeats, grinning. Nice. Thanks for the coffee, he winks, leaving a few bills on the counter, and then, quickly picking up his order, disappears outside the coffee shop door. Jungkook looks after him a little confused, and then looks down at the 2 $10 bills on the counter. Okay, maybe he was tipped more than the check was paid for. Trivia. He takes a breath. It's alright. Just lately, for some reason, adult men have been paying attention to him and giving him money. But it's alright. Jungkook stuffs the money into his apron pocket as he starts to wipe down the counter, and almost ignores Yoongi, who comes out of the staff room already dressed, with a backpack on his shoulder and a skateboard in his hand, saying something about the next time he will turn Jungkook into the boss and he will be fired if he's late again. And then he says that his friends from the university are having a party tonight, and asks if Jungkook wants to go there with him. Not likely, the boy sighs wearily as he prepares the coffee Yoongi just asked for. I have a shift at the Moth again. Are you really working there every night? Yoongi looks surprised and raises his eyebrows. No, seriously, when do you sleep? Sometimes I ask myself that question, too. Jungkook laughs sadly, shrugging. But no, not every night. Usually I have 1 or 2 days off per week. But more often it's just 1, because I need an extra money. You know you're going to die from this, don't you? Yoongi purses his lips. I mean, it's not like people can live without sleep. I do sleep, Yoongi. It's just, not as often as the others. It's none of your business. Whatever, okay, don't hiss at me, kitty. He raises his hands defensively, grinning. Just text me if plans change and you want to come. There will be alcohol and weed. I do not smoke. I don't smoke either. The guy winks, laughing, and Jungkook rolls his eyes, snorting with a chuckle. and then sets a glass of coffee for Yoongi on the counter. "Get lost already," texts me. He laughs as he leaves the coffee shop, and Jungkook sighs as he decides to continue cleaning up the counter. Yoongi is sloppy and he leaves a mess every time. Meanwhile, a man gets into one of the cars parked on the side of the road just up the street. He puts both cups of coffee in a cup holders and somehow manages to fit the box of his dessert into the same place. "Why did it take so long?" Looking up from the phone, the second man, sitting in the passenger seat, sounds. "I was waiting for coffee, or were you admiring that coffee boy of yours?" He laughs, shaking his head. "Just stop it already, it's pathetic. You drink cheap coffee in a cheap coffee shop a few times a week just to stare at him," says who. The man raises his eyebrows in a chuckle as he starts the car and confidently pulls out of the side of the road with one hand. "The one who bought the whole club of dancing boys." "It's not just boys there," the interlocutor dismisses, examining cups of coffee. "What did you get for me, anyway, Cappuccino?" "Yours with the tea." "Obviously." The man lets out a chuckle as he takes his glass and takes a sip. "Damn, that's too sweet. Tell your coffee boy next time he's overdoing the sugar, it was me who added an extra sugar for you." The first man laughs, glancing at his colleague. "You know, the more sugar, the faster it will kill you, you wish. And even then you won't get access to my business for your filthy little hands, Hanbin." The man grins as he sips some more coffee, then grimaces again. "Ugh, it's disgustingly sweet. Buy this coffee shop and fire the damn boy." "I'll buy it," Hanbin nods, laughing. "But I won't fire him." He keeps distracting himself from the road, throwing ambiguous glances at the man. "I don't know, it's just, have you ever won on the counter? Because I dare. Can we just go to the office?" The man snorts. "Your own employees is the new kid of yours." He lets out a chuckle. "I'm not having this discussion with you." Hanbin laughs, turning the car around, and again thinks that the jokes about buying this coffee shop could not be jokes at all. "Mr. Kim!" exclaims. "Good boy." Taekook smiles blissfully, stroking Jungkook's wet hair. "Such a good boy," Jungkook sobs, not even realizing, from shame at everything he just said. But he's still trembling, sitting on his boss's lap, and the man's hands are still on his waist and in his hair, and both of them still don't move. Jungkook always tries to run away as soon as it's over. But now his legs can't hold him at all, everything in his stomach is twisting and throbbing, and his head is heavy, as if filled with metal. So he hopes he won't get fired for allowing himself a few minutes of respite while his head is lying on his boss's shoulder. Then, after 15 minutes or so, Jungkook somehow manages to get dressed, feeling like he's drunk because his head is slightly spinning and his knees are shaking. Taekook lights up, sitting in the same chair, except for that a few minutes ago he threw a pack of wet wipes into Jungkook's hands and forced him to wipe the boy's own cum off his abs. Perhaps this is one of the most embarrassing things Jungkook has done. At least he doesn't realize how hot Mr. Kim finds this picture when Jungkook, kneeling in front of the chair, makes an effort to wipe off the mess he left on the expensive shirt and pumped-up male body. "Your money." Taehyung hands him folded large bills, and Jungkook takes it, looking down at the floor. "You can go home now, Mr. Kim. You know the rules." Taehyung doesn't let him finish and grins, knocking the ashes from his cigarette into the ashtray on the table next to the chair, and glances over the already dressed, but so disheveled, railed Jungkook. "You do not work after privates for me. I have already let you do your work first half of the night before our time together. I used to always work until closing time." Jungkook tries to argue, unable to raise his voice because his throat is still burning. I might have another client tonight. No, you might not. Taekook cuts him off, taking another puff and frowning. Do you need money that bad? And who doesn't? Jungkook mutters as he stands in front of him. He twists his own fingers nervously again, hands clasped behind his back, and looks down at the floor. All right, Taekook nods. I'll pay you more. What? The boy looks up at him in surprise. I'll pay you more. Taekook shrugs, looking at him confidently. Only we're changing the terms. Kind of changes, Sir? Jungkook asks timidly, swallowing, his brow furrowing a little. Now I can touch you,